This episode is about to help you think bigger than you're currently thinking so that you can bring more abundance into your life. Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today, we are talking about thinking bigger. The idea of thinking so big that the bigness is something that you never thought that you could even think until you started thinking it. The reason why we're talking about this is because I had this crazy thought the other day about Britney Spears. Now, I love Britney Spears. If you know me, you know I love everything Britney. I love her music. I love her performances. I love, oh my God, the VMAs 2 times. One with the snake, the other one with the gold. My gosh, what an icon. And I love her now. Poor thing. And come back to us, Britney. Where are you? Where did you go? Anyway, I had this thought of like concerts. So I have never seen Britney live. And I have all of her CDs. And I have like her music and I choreograph to her music. And it's always very sacred and very special when I choreograph to her because, I don't know, it's just a moment and then I get possessed. And then it's like, I never want the night to end. And it's like, whoa. So I was thinking, wow, I have never been to a Britney Spears concert. And I don't know, at this point, I wonder if that'll ever be a possibility for me. Around the time when I could have gone to a Britney Spears concert, I didn't know it was an option. I didn't know that I could ask to go to the Britney Spears concert. I only knew to ask for CDs because that's all I saw. So this episode is really about expanding your viewpoint. Now, little young me, like we weren't into expansion then, but me as a full-grown adult, I have the conscious mind now, and you have the conscious mind to think bigger than the way we are thinking. Can you imagine if back then I was like, oh, hey, mom, dad, I really want to go to Britney Spears and like see her live in concert? They would have been like, well, I don't know about that. And then I would have done what I do when I want something really bad, which is beg for it, basically, and figure out how to get it. So for example, I really, really, really wanted a dog. And when I was a kid, apparently I like creeped my parents out so hardcore because I started acting like a dog. And I would like dress up like with like doggy tails and I would like ruff, bark, like when I would crawl on the floor. And like, I think my dad was like, wow, like, things are getting weird. We should probably get her a dog. Got a dog. Then there was this moment where my older cousin, she had her belly button pierced. And I was like, oh my God, like I want my belly button pierced. That's so hot. And of course, like this was, you know, in my very Catholic home. Like this was, wow, piercing. Oh my God, a piercing. Like, so I remember asking about it. No. And I remember asking about it again. No, definitely not. And then like creative Chrissy came to play and, you know, abundance Chrissy came to play, even though now I didn't know how to name it then. I know it now. I was like, this is her problem solving thoughtfulness that came through. And I was like, all right, well, Dad, what if I get straight A's and then I promise to never, ever get a tattoo? He was like, done deal. And I had to get straight A's for a whole entire year in all of my advanced placement classes. And I was excited about it. I was like, let me work extra hard for this to get what I really want. So I know that if I knew to even ask for Britney Spears, to see her in concert, and to beg for her like I did for the dog, and to beg for her like I did for the belly button ring, I probably would have found a way. And that's what we're talking about. How can you find a way to find more abundance and to bring things you never thought possible into your life? I think about this when people ask for things, they sometimes limit themselves before they even begin because of what is possible or what they aren't exposed to in terms of what is possible. So, for example, when asking for a home, they might say, I want a house with a room. And instead, what's possible, oh, well, you could also have a house with a room and it could have a really cool chandelier and it could have 3 windows. Getting really specific is one way, but then also asking for things that are bigger than what you think that you deserve. This concept is a concept that I'm sure you're familiar with. So like we can talk about manifestation when we talk about this concept. Think big, like the world is listening, the universe is hearing you. And like if you limit it in the way that you profess what you want, then the universe will listen and it will give you exactly what you said. So if you say, I want to make $1,000 this month, then the universe will be like, okay, let's figure out how you can do that. And here it is. Versus if you said, I want to make $2,000 this month, there's more openings for that. And if we're not talking about money, we can talk about anything. If I was like, oh my God, I see so many golden retrievers. And if I'm telling you that, then you would start to see so many golden retrievers. And this is the phenomenon Baader-Meinhof, and it's about selective attention. So when we're thinking about this Britney Spears idea, it's like if I knew to think about the concert, I would probably see more things about the concert. First, I would have the idea of like, oh, my friends, they're going to go to the concert. Then I would hear that. And then my selective attention, this phenomenon would tell me like, oh, there's a concert. And then maybe I would see somewhere else like, oh, the Britney Spears concert, the Lucky Tour, or whatever it was. And all these things would be fueling into my brain. And I'd be like, wow, this is a possibility. Let me ask for it. So today, I want to encourage you when you're thinking about dance to not limit yourself to what's possible. And it might take some research and some knowing and obviously some viewing. And this is when we get into the comparison mindset just a little bit. And if you want, go back to that episode. I think it's episode number 2. And we talk about how comparing is not the thief of joy, but obsession is. So I want you to compare in a healthy way. And really, it's just influencing yourself. So it's like when you see someone dancing and you're like, whoa, that's so cool. I want to be able to do that someday. That someday is you knowing that that could be a possibility for you. When you see someone with crazy amounts of flexibility, amazing. Add that in. Put that into what is possible for yourself. In other words, this sentence, I don't think I could ever have flexibility, so therefore I'm not going to want that. What if you could? Wouldn't you want that? Or I could never learn that style of dance because it looks so hard and fast. Well, would you want to learn that? And if it was possible, do you think you'd have fun doing that? So sometimes, and I'm sure you've heard this phrase before, and we'll go into this in way more detail at another episode. We talk about limiting beliefs. I think you can all remember the first time that you heard that phrase of a limiting belief. And it's so true that we do this. And we do it based off of, yes, partially like our history and our experience, but also our worth. Understanding that we have a meter on what we think we are worth. And when we realize that we are worth more and we deserve more, and we are so special and we are all so unique that we actually deserve the world. We deserve the golden retriever, we deserve the belly button ring, and we deserve the Britney Spears concert. This is the book 10X is Easier Than 2X. It's a business book and it's just a really cool concept when you think about thinking big. So if you were dancing, you would think, oh my gosh, well, I think it's possible for me to learn a couple of moves. But what if it was not only possible for you to learn moves, but to learn an actual routine, to learn choreography, to learn how to hold yourself, to know how to love yourself, to know how to see yourself and talk to yourself in the mirror, to learn about memory, to learn about musicality. So it's like this idea of 10x whatever you think you want to do instead of 2x it. And watch how much easier it is for you to live in abundance versus scarcity. So when you're thinking about this concept this week, next week, and weeks to come, I want you to know that thinking big isn't about ego, and it's not about being flashy. It's not about proving. Again, it's not about comparison. It's more about alignment and curiosity and possibility. I go back and forth on this topic in terms of small goals and big goals because I love a goal. Big goals can sometimes feel so intimidating, but sometimes small goals keep us safe. Because I know this from recently, Josh and I have been sitting down and like really thinking about some big goals, and I can feel the discomfort in my body, and it's like, whoa, that is so like I need a break on this way of thinking. That's how intense it is. So I know like my small goals, they feel more realistic. They feel more attainable. They feel more gentle, where the big goals are like, they're so intense. They're so in my face. They're intimidating. So sometimes we choose realistic goals so we don't have to face what we actually want and what we actually deserve. And this is far from Britney Spears at this point. But when we were thinking about dance is a vehicle to help us build a better life, because dance is the way that we learn about ourselves better. Dance is how we figure out our feelings. Dance is how we process our feelings. So we really become a better human once we start dancing. It's crazy. And how grateful we get to be towards that, because you can't say that about everything in life. So I want to challenge you to come up with a goal and then make it bigger. And you might need to ask help for this, because you might not know, you might not be exposed to the idea. Just like me in my situation, I didn't know to ask for what was possible. And I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to know what is possible. So expose yourself, ask for help, ask a teacher, ask someone who knows more about the subject than you. Hey, what could I do that would make this have way more impact? Or what could I do to make this much bigger? You can listen to people, ask for stories. I always find that I learn so much by kind of like interviewing people and asking them like interesting questions about their lives. And then it's like, oh, whoa, I didn't even know that was an option. Like, how cool. And then I actually like always flip back to when we were in high school. I found it so easy to figure out anything basically that we wanted to learn. So I remember at one point I was considering being an occupational therapist. And within a day, like I had a shadow opportunity to shadow someone who was an occupational therapist. And I soon found out with the wiping of an adult diaper that it was definitely not for me. And I knew, okay, well, that's not it. But how cool it would be right now if we could get a chance to do that. Another story is this person that I know, he was telling me this story about like a field trip that he went on in college to like some type of like water preservation. It was like a really cool thing. I forgot what it was now, but I just remember being really cool and being like, wow, like it would be so cool to go into different businesses and learn different things. It'd be so cool to be able to interview certain dancers and certain actors and be like, what's your daily life like? Like how cool that would be to learn more information. And when you do find your goal and it does feel scary, take a minute with it. Let it be how it is. Your bigger goals are exposing something within you. It's telling you more of what you desire. Desire makes us vulnerable. And that feeling can feel so uncomfortable for everyone. Vulnerability feels risky. It feels not safe. It feels unsure. And we don't like that as humans. We like to feel very sure. So here are some questions for you as you go about this week when you're thinking bigger. And you can use these specifically for dance, and you can use them for life as well. So the first one, what am I asking for right now? The second one, where did that goal come from? The third one, what is the concert I'm not even considering? The fourth one, who expanded my sense of what's possible? So I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you did, and if you find yourself thinking bigger, it would mean the absolute world to me if you shared this with a friend, as this is one of the best ways to share the podcast with people just like you who are on their dance journey. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.